So hello, everybody. Welcome to the Art of Shamanic Journeying. My name is Eleni,
I'm Tina.
and we are so excited to be with you all on this beautiful Saturday morning. Thank you all for joining us live and those who are watching on the recording. So here we go. We're going to start with a little bit of grounding and breathing just to kind of get our space ready. We only have an hour, so we're going to pack in as much information and a little practice and try to give you guys some space for any questions you might have. So if you're comfortable, feel free to soften or close the eyes. Try to get cozy wherever you are, seated or lying down. And just start bringing your awareness into your physical body, releasing anything that's come before this moment, just drawing your energy and your awareness here into this present moment. And if you feel comfortable working with your breath, breathing in through the nose and then breathing out through the nose or the mouth. And with each inhale, just filling up the base of the belly and expanding the belly out like a flower in bloom. And then a slow exhale, just a very soft deflating of the belly. So inhaling and exhaling, trying to take your time here. And although Tina and I have already set sacred space, we'll just set that sacred intention that everybody here live and on the recording get exactly what they need from this live webinar. And we just ask for continual support, healing, wisdom, and connection. Thank you. Aho. All right, my friends, welcome, welcome. Here we are at the Art of Shamanic Journeying. So I'm Eleni. I'm a shamanic practitioner, and I've been doing this work since I think 2019. I absolutely adore this work, and I kind of got into it via the route of learning about the chakras and doing my yoga teacher training. And I have just been absorbing and learning and now teaching since. So that's a little bit about me.
I'm Tina, and I actually started right after Eleni did. So we've been doing this about the same time. But I started in this world of healing and energy medicine, mostly with Reiki and crystals. So I am certified in all things Reiki and all things crystals, as well as shamanic practice. So yeah, I've been doing this for, I don't know, 8, 9 years now. So that's me. All right, so let's talk about shamanism. So, if you think about long before written history, right? Before temples and textbooks, our ancestors looked at the world and saw something more than what their eyes could touch. They saw spirit moving through every river, every stone, every breath of wind. The way seeing has a name, and we call it shamanism. So, shamanism is one of the humanity's oldest spiritual practices, with roots stretching back more than 30,000 years. So, what makes it remarkable, in my opinion, is that it didn't emerge in one place. It's not like shamanism sprouted in one location and spread that way. It actually sprouted pretty much everywhere. Okay, almost every culture has some form of shamanism, from Siberia to the Andes, from Mongolia to the Amazon. Um, Cultures that have never met before have very similar traditions. And that tells us something important, that this isn't belief, it's a shared human inheritance. And that is, to me, just remarkable. So one of the pieces that is at the heart of shamanism as we practice it is the journey, which is entering into a non-ordinary state of awareness to meet helping spirits, guides, and ancestors. And Elle's going to talk about that a little bit more. But we use things like drums and rattles and the breath as doorways. And again, we'll be walking through one of those journeys with you guys today in this session. So, one of the shamanic world views is that everything is alive. The trees, the mountains, the river, the fire in front of you, nothing stands alone. And when we begin to feel this web of relationship, our place in the world changes. And we move from being observers of nature to being participants in it, which again is this beautiful place of shamanism. As far as shamanic healing is concerned, it isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about restoring balance. So when something's out of harmony in the body, mind, or spirit, the shaman's work is to track where the imbalance lives and gently call it back into right relationship. So healing is a sacred remembering, which again is such a beautiful imagery for me anyway. So as you guys can see from the slide, that picture there is a mesa or a portable altar. And every object inside a shamanic practitioner's altar has a meaning, a story, and a tradition. As we move through the rest of our time together today, let the mesa be a quiet reminder that we're stepping into a lineage that is so much, so much older than we are and far more alive and than we often allow ourselves to feel. So that's my take on shamanism.
Thanks, Tina.
You're welcome.
So, what is the shamanic journey? Like Tina was saying, shamanic practitioners and traditional shamans, they will work in the non-ordinary reality and the ordinary reality. So the distinction here is that ordinary reality is how you perceive your conscious world, your five senses, how you see, taste, touch, all the things. And your non ordinary reality is the subtle worlds around you. You can think of this as similar to astral realms, parallel dimensions, alternate universes. And one way to actually conceptualize this is to think about when you travel to other realms in the dream world. So when we have dreams and we wake up and we think, oh my gosh, that feels so real. Where was I? You are actually doing a journey, you are traveling. So the shamanic journey is a intentional state where we go into an altered state of consciousness. This is usually with a beat of a drum, or you can use a rattle or some type of consistent beat that helps you kind of move into a different brain state. It's sort of a hypnotic state where you're able to access these worlds in a more perceptual way. A lot of shamans either close their eyes or some of them even wear hoods or eye covers so that they can go into the darkness and perceive with their psychic senses. So the purpose of shamanic journeying, there's so many different ways that you can actually use this tool. And one of the main ways is to retrieve information. So a practitioner may have an intention to understand something from a different level, something from a different perception. Maybe there's a family issue or there's an emotional thing that keeps coming up over and over for themselves or for a client. And so they will journey to find out what's going on with that emotional piece. But also you can go into these different realms and do healing work. So as a practitioner, you can work on yourself in these realms. You can also receive healing. And we usually work with, well, I think all practitioners work with helping spirits. That means that you have a spirit team, and everybody's spirit team is different. It depends on what deities that you work with, your healed and whole ancestors, what your beliefs are, and what mythologies or pantheons that you might follow. So those will all inform what helping spirits are actually on your team, I guess. And the shamanic journey will be a tool to actually enhance and get to know those helping spirits, work with their energy, their magic, and let them assist you. So the shamanic journey practice. So within many different traditions, there are certain cosmologies or universes or maps that they follow. And one of the basic ones that is taught by Michael Harner, who teaches core shamanism, where he has traveled and studied many different cultures and kind of found the core principles of them, is that there's 3 tiers. Now, being said, that's not the only map that traditions follow. But for this sake, we're going to teach the 3-tiered cosmology, which is the lower world, the middle world, and the upper world. So when I say the lower world, I think some people can get freaked out about that. But really, I'd like to share that it's similar to our deep subconscious. So if we think about it through a psychological lens, we have our lower world, which is our deep subconscious, meaning that there's these programs, beliefs, emotions, traumatic events that we store in our psyche that we don't necessarily have conscious, what am I trying to say? Where it's not in our conscious awareness all the time, but it's informing our behavior, right? So it's showing up in our conscious reality, but sometimes we can't access why, right? The middle world can be thought of as your conscious reality. So the world around you, again, what you can see, taste, and touch. And the upper world, from this psychological perspective, could be your higher consciousness, or some people say your higher self, your higher soul, which knows the blueprint, which knows the way. And a lot of times we can get so mired down in just the human experience that it's hard to connect. So that's one way of looking at that. But I want to share how the lower world may look for people, because when we do our little journey today, which will be to connect with a power animal, one of our helping spirits, then I want to explain and give some context as to how the lower world might look. So the lower world could be, it's generally in the belly of Mother Earth. I'm going to explain how to do the journey if you've never done a shamanic journey before. But essentially, you go down into the earth, and when you pop out into the lower world, you're going to probably see a scene of nature. Some people move into the mountains or the forest, the beach, or something like that. But generally, it presents as a place in nature. And here, the lower world is the place where, again, parts of you may exist. We teach about soul parts in our Shamanic Apprenticeship. These are aspects of ourselves that can get splintered off or fragmented when we have traumatic events. So sometimes they are in the lower world, and we can go into this space and connect with them. We can also connect with certain beings here. We can do so much work in the lower world. So this is where we teach, Tina and I, where to meet your power animal first. This is a safe place because this is your space. This is your lower world, your healing space. When you get to the middle world, which I would say is a little bit more of an advanced journey, you will need to be cloaked and protected, because the middle world has a spectrum of beings and energies, and it's important there is work that needs to be done in the middle world, but it's important to have your protections with you. So the middle world you can think of as the other side of your conscious reality. So you can see your room if you look up from your screen right now, and then on the other side of that is all the energy, or all the other things that are beyond our perceptual awareness. So if you think of Stranger Things and the upside down world, that's a good example, even though I would sometimes it can be that scary if you've seen that, but I'm not gonna put that in your guys' mind that it's like terrifying like that. But why I say that is because on the spectrum of the middle world can be here lives your nature elements, right? So like the plants, you can do a middle world journey and connect with the plants in your garden, right? Or the tree that lives outside of your house. And also the elementals live here. So you have your fairy spirits, you have your fae, you have your gnomes and all the things. And then you also have beings that, and we do a really deep dive in this in our program, which is earthbound spirits. So I want to be really quick when I talk about this, but essentially when people when they're passing and they don't actually leave the earthly realm, they can get kind of stuck here in the earthbound plane. And this is what people might say is like, oh, there's a ghost in my house, right? Or there's like poltergeist activity or something like that. This is all happening in the middle world, so just beyond the veil, but still we can experience it here. Okay. And then the upper world is, everyone again will experience it differently, but how I've experienced it and how I've heard students experience it is like beautiful, angelic, or this is where like our healed and whole ancestors may live. And this is a place where you can go to connect with your teachers, your spirit teachers, connect to the beings that you work with. You can also go to the upper world to receive healing, to connect to the higher timelines, or your destiny lines is where these is where we can access those in the upper world. So this is just very basic. It's hard to condense all this in a class, but you can understand like the different worlds hold different energetic imprints. You work with different beings in the different worlds, and um, yeah. Okay, thanks for listening to all that. Okay, so actually, we're going to pause here and we'll do a little journey. If you guys have never received a power animal, then we're going to just set the intention to possibly connect with a power animal. If you have a power animal, then you can set an intention for whatever you'd like to use this time for and connect with them. And before we start, let me share what a power animal is. So why we call it a power animal is because this animal is a guardian for you. And mostly you guys may work together in the lower world, but they might actually be your guide for each of the worlds. They may shapeshift, they may change form. But your power animal is not only with you when you journey, they're also with you while you're sitting here. This is one of your guides that is really working on your behalf. They are protecting you. They are nudging you, in the right direction. And when we can actually attune to them, they bring us their specific power that's most appropriate for you at that time. So, for example, my first ever power animal was a deer. And when I reflect on what power he was bringing me, it was a sense of yin energy, like a softness and innocence, and like a quiet power, right? And over the years, I've integrated his energy into my field, and so now I have a new main power animal. Tina, is there anything else you want to share about that? Oh, you're on mute. I think you're saying no.
No, I did, but I couldn't get my mouse back. Um, trying to split the monitors here. Um, yeah, so my power animal is different than most. Um, he's animated for starters, and he's part bluebird and part lion. And it's really been recently where I've kind of gotten what that energy is for me, and that's balance. Balance between this fluffy little soft bird, right? This gentle thing and this fierce lion. And there's this balance between the two. So, but that changes for me because he changes for me. So your power animal is is going to change with your changing. Does that make sense? And help you with your changing, because we are not stagnant beings. So
Yes, and you may have more than one power animal. We teach, to just connect and really hone that relationship with your main one. But as you work in your practice, you will, yeah, continue to to have, yeah, you'll continue to maybe tune into other helping spirits that have certain powers, have certain gifts, and they may do certain work on your behalf. Okay. All right, so let's move on. We're going to do a little journey. So go ahead and get comfortable. I'm going to guide it as if you've never met your power animal before. However, if you have, I'll just encourage you to take this time to journey on your own, set your intention if you like. And if not, you can just relax, chill. It's only going to be a 10-minute journey. I will play a drum track. Just going to test the sound really quick. How is this sound? Good? Okay. Yes.
you're sharing your screen. Are you sharing the sound too?
Oh, sorry. I do that sometimes. I
Okay.
accidentally did the screen
That's
instead
why
of the sound.
I do it too.
Okay, I did that before. And okay. All right, so go ahead and get comfortable. You can soften or close the eyes.
Yeah, we're still seeing your screen and the drums fading out, so I'm not sure.
Okay, I need to share the sound. Okay, apologies.
There you go. Perfect.
Got it. Okay, so go ahead and soften or close the eyes. Just feel into your grounding cords, soles of the feet, base of the spine. Just connect your cords, your roots to the earth. And then feeling and sensing into your auric field, that spherical like bubble that surrounds your physical body. And just breathing in any energy that you like to call in at this moment. And we're just going to set the intention to connect with our power animal. So we're going to begin at a place in nature. You might find your favorite tree. You might find a mountain or a grove or something that presents itself to you. And if you see a tree, there may be a door that you walk through. If you're somewhere else in nature, you may slide down a little river. You may see a hole in the ground that you begin your descent, but we're going to start to go down into the belly of Mother Earth. So whatever that looks like for you, just let it present itself naturally, and it may come through your clear sight, your third eye, or it may come through a knowing, a sensing, or an experience. We're going to make our way down, 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 descending through the belly of Mother Earth. And once you reach the entrance to the lower world, your specific place in nature, you're going to pass through a little threshold. This could look like a door. This could look like something It could look like a portal or something like that, but go ahead and step through and onto the other side and into the lower world where you will see a landscape around you. So go ahead and just notice the landscape. And then we'll begin walking here. So if you already have a power animal, you can connect with them here. You can go on a sacred journey. But if you're looking to meet your power animal, we're going to just start walking along a path that presents itself. This may be a dirt path, or you may be on sand or in the woods. Just notice the textures, the colors, the scents, anything around you that's presenting itself. We're going to call upon our power animal. So just setting that sacred intention. And you may see an animal in the distance. You may see flashes of different animals. You may see faces or different aspects of an animal. And if you feel comfortable, go ahead and move closer to the silhouettes of this animal that you see. It may be walking towards you. And if it presents itself to you and you can see it in its form, I want you to ask this animal 3 times, are you my power animal? It's important that you get a full body yes here, a full body knowing. And if it's not your power animal, then that's okay. You can just continue the journey. So if you've asked and it says yes 3 times and you feel that connection, it feels safe, it feels good, you can start to walk with this power animal and start to have a conversation. You might ask, what is your medicine? What gifts do you come with? Have we worked together before? And also, what offerings do you like? And if you didn't get a full body yes, or if you didn't see a full silhouette or an animal, that's okay. That's perfectly normal. So you can continue the journey of walking and seeing if maybe something else presents itself to you. So if you were able to connect with your power animal, you just can ask, what do you like? What treats can I bring you? How can I honor you? Is there something I can put on my altar or on my desk that can honor you? And these can be in waking world, you can get a little statue of your power animal, or it could be a mind generated offering, meaning that when you're here, you can bring and present something in this realm. So it could be an astral offering. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up. So if you are with your power animal now, you can start to turn back. You guys can walk together on the path the way that you came in. So just following those footsteps back. You may receive a gift, an offering from your guide, your power animal. And then go ahead and get a little energy shower here. So just cleanse, release. You might see gold light, white light. Just get an energy shower, bathe real quick before you come back up. We're not bringing anything that belongs in the lower world up with us into our waking world. And then you're going to make your ascent back up the way you came. So whether if you went up a ladder or a tree, the roots of a tree, go ahead and start to climb back up. And then just back into your physical body as you're ready. Breathing, wiggling toes, fingers. And if you have a moment you'd like to take a note or something, feel free. And just take your time here. We will have time at the end if anybody wants to share, but obviously you don't need to. So let's move on. We're going to talk about the medicine wheel, and let me share my screen here. Oh no. Okay. Be patient with me, y'all. Okay, let me go back. All right, you guys can see that. Okay, so real quickly, the medicine wheel is a sacred circle. It generally, for all medicine wheels, regardless of the tradition or um, the practice, there's all the cardinal directions. So the north, the south, the east, the west. However, different traditions work with different archetypes in those directions, and they work with different elements in those directions. So for the medicine wheel that Tina and I teach, we work with the Andean medicine wheel. And so we start actually in the south with the archetype of serpent. We move to the west, the archetype of jaguar, and then to the north, hummingbird, and to the east, eagle. And this, we get into very deep dives into what these archetypes actually do, what they mean. And generally, because our program is over 9 months long, we're in those archetypal energies and in that certain direction for about 3 months, right, Tina? It's about 3 months. So you're working and working with that archetype in that direction and that element for a while. Generally, the layers of the medicine wheel are the different uh, layers of our auric field. So the physical layer, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. And all of these layers in the sacred hoop are continually informing one another. So even though you might be working in the West with Jaguar and doing a lot of shadow work, you may also be getting connections or little tidbits of hummingbird asking you to like work in faith, take the next step, even though you don't know where you're going, and all the things. They're all kind of informing each other. And the thing with the medicine wheel is once you kind of step onto that path, you will probably be on that path almost the rest of your life. You'll just keep going back and back into that sacred spiral where you just keep revisiting things on a deeper level.
All right. So all right, I'm going to speak to this from our experience and from the experience of our students. So why do people choose to walk the medicine wheel, especially with us? So um, I think most importantly is the extensive, deep healing and shadow work. Um, this isn't surface level healing that you might get in other programs. This is deep rooted, um, a soul level healing. You'll move through places that we generally avoid in our everyday life. The wounds, the patterns, the parts of ourselves that we've disowned or that we don't like. And the medicine wheel gives you this safe container to meet and transform those energies. In addition to that, you will develop real ongoing relationships with your power animals and your guides and your helping spirits, not to mention those people who are in the class with you. You're in this program for a year, right? So, or almost a year. So, the container of the medicine wheel, everybody in it becomes family. And that is, to me, a huge connection and a huge benefit. But you're also going to connect to your ancestors. These ancestors carry medicine and they will pass that on to you, and we will work with the lineages behind you and help you reclaim the gifts that have been waiting to be remembered. You're going to strengthen your connection to nature and sacred energies. So a walk in the woods is going to feel very different when you're going through the medicine wheel and after the wheel. Not that there's ever an after the wheel, but than it does now. For me, that was definitely a huge thing. My relationship with nature changed significantly by going through the medicine wheel. I talk to the trees and the rocks and every squirrel and worm that comes my way. And yes, people look at me like I'm a little nuts, but I'd rather talk to the beings than not talk to the beings. So that becomes just part of your life. The other day, there was a slug in my front hallway, and I just picked it up and brought it outside and told it to have a nice day. And like, I wouldn't have done that before doing the medicine wheel. Um, but on a slightly different note, there's also a huge amount of energetic clearing and spiritual realignment. Um, we carry these imprints, right? We have our imprints, our families, our cultures. We are so affected by everything around us because we are in this human shell. And this work allows you to clear those things that don't belong to you, and those things that keep you out of alignment. And we want to bring you back to who you're supposed to be in this lifetime. You're also going to gain a sense of personal empowerment and renewed life force. Students often describe feeling like they've come home to themselves. They have more energy, more clarity, more sovereignty. Um, their life gets better. I hate using that word because it's weird, but better. Big life changes often happen during and after completing the wheel. And in addition to all of that, you are also going to receive the 10 rights of the Moon Eye Key. Don't worry, if you join the program, we'll do a deep dive into what that is. But these are basically rights that are handed down from the Q'ero people. And then there is one proprietary right that we also offer in our program that was given to me, and I pass it on to the students. So those are just some of the benefits of doing the medicine wheel with us. So we talk about healing work because that's an important aspect of the medicine wheel. But it isn't just about your own personal inner work, because you're working with the people in your class. So you're learning to perform shamanic healing while receiving shamanic healing. So what are we talking about when we're talking about shamanic healing? Like, what does that mean? What makes it different? Well, we do teach cord cutting, illuminations, and soul retrievals, and just a couple of notes on those things because there are foundational pieces. Illumination basically clears the heavy energy at the chakra levels. And if you're not familiar with the chakras, we do a deep dive into that as well during the program. We do cord cutting, which releases any energetic ties that are draining us. Old relationships, old contracts, old wounds that are still nagging. And soul retrievals are going to bring home the parts of ourselves that have fragmented during times of trauma. So those are three of the foundational pieces that we do during the medicine wheel. But we do spend time also on entity removal and the death rites. So entity removal is exactly what it sounds like. Okay. We learn to identify and respectfully release intrusive energies. And this could be a number of things. So we don't have time to talk about all that today. I could talk about it for a long time. Probably do a whole webinar series on it. So that's all I'll say about it for now. And the death rites, which to me is one of the most sacred gifts that we can perform and offer. And that is how to support a soul's clean passage at the time of death. So again, during the medicine wheel, you're not just learning to give, you are receiving. And it's this beautiful reciprocity that just, is in the whole experience. That beautiful balance that I need. All right. So if you choose to join our medicine wheel, this is the class format. We will meet every other Monday night from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern time on Zoom. And this is when we're going to do our a lot of our teaching practice. We're going to journey. There'll be Q&As. So this is anything that we feel that we can do in a 2-hour time block, right? So this is like the foundational teachings. And then there are also going to be um, 5 weekends that we spend together. So that's Friday night from 6 to 8 p.m., Saturday and Sunday from 9 to 3. Those times are flexible and fluid based on the need of the group. And these are all going to be done on Zoom this year. So you can attend virtually, which is delightful. During the weekends together, it's fine that you changed the thing. That's fine. During the weekends together, this is where we're going to do our bigger ceremonies, where the rites are done, where we work together in healing work. So, all right. What else is included? Because there's so much included in this program. You get not one, two experienced teachers. Now, Eleni and I, yes, we had the same teacher for our shamanism, for our beginner shamanism piece, but we've each had new teachers since then. We've each done the wheel several times with different teachers, with each other. But in addition to that, we have different backgrounds. Like I said, I am a Reiki practitioner and a fairy Reiki practitioner and a crystal therapist. And Eleni is an amazing medium. Sorry, I'm touting it there, but she does a lot of great psychopomp work. And so you get two amazing teachers. You get 21 virtual live 2-hour classes along with their recordings. That's over 40 hours of teaching. So if you do have to miss a class, you do get your recording. You do get your 5 virtual weekends. We will record what we can of those. Obviously, there'll be breakout rooms and those kinds of things that won't be recorded. But so again, this is where we're going to do the rites and the big ceremonies. And I want you to also know that most medicine wheel programs only do 4 weekends. They do the directions and that's it. And Eleni and I discussed this early on that we needed a closing weekend, a weekend where everything comes full circle. And that is a weekend of ceremony and celebration. And it is so fulfilling and so wonderful of a weekend. That is an amazing extra piece. In addition to all of that, you do get one free healing session with each of us during that year and discounted sessions for the entire year if you feel that what your classmates are doing is either not quite getting it or you just need something deeper than what's happening in class. You do get free attendance to all of the classes and workshops that Eleni and I do together during the year and potentially separately depending on how we decide to handle those things. And lastly, upon completion, you will receive your shamanic practitioner certification, which means that if you choose to do so, you can walk the path of a shamanic practitioner and teach others, as well as healing others. So let's talk about the investment, right? We always say this part honestly because money is sacred too, and we want that exchange to feel clean and comfortable. For a very limited time, we are offering the full program for an absolutely ridiculous price of $1,500. Go ahead. There you go. That is for, again, 2 experienced teachers, 21 Monday night classes and recordings, 5 weekends together, free and discounted classes, deep healing from all over, the certification, the community, the reciprocity, all the things for what I feel is a little measly $1,500. Like $1,500 may feel like a lot when you're buying certain things, but when you're dealing with this level of healing and work, it to me is an investment that is totally worth every single penny. Now, if paying $1,500 up front is a problem, don't worry about it. We have payment plans available, so we are happy to talk about the money individually. That is not an issue for us. And Eleni, if you'll go ahead and hit one more, there we go. If this is screaming yes, yes, yes right now, you know you want to do this. And even if you're not, even if you're on the fence, go ahead and fill out the application. You can just take a picture of that QR code. It'll take you right to the application form. When you complete the form, it will at the I think it's the last question or something. One of us will contact you to schedule time to talk to us if you feel you need it after, uh, after everything. You can absolutely spend some time talking to us more about the class and how, whatever it is you need from us. Um, but yes, you can apply right now by clicking on that QR, taking a picture of that QR code, and we'd love to have you join us. Are there any questions about anything that we talked about, or maybe something we didn't?